أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيد الخلائق أجمعين أبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
صلى الله عليه وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين سفن النجاة وعين الحياة من طهرهم الله بنص كتابه المبين وجعل اللعنة على أعدائهم أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I was told that tonight the discussion will be about wudu and ghusl. But before I start the discussion, first I'll welcome the respected Sheikh Nami Farhat, who is now in Sydney, one of the famous scholars around the world. He's originally from America. He studied in Iran, and right now he gives lectures at IHIC and Nabi Akram Granville and Ahlul Bayt Center in Auburn. So inshallah we can benefit from him also tonight. You call one sheikh and you get the other one for free. so inshallah it's not going to be a lecture. We'll try to do it as a discussion to benefit from it. Before we enter to the topic of wudu and ghusl, just a small introduction to get to it. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Holy Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And I have not created the jinn and the men except to worship me. The main reason for our creation is to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. But it is not up to us to choose the way or our own way to worship Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal, He put down a way to worship Him through it. And that's why He sent the prophets and He sent the books. And the last prophet is the prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He sent him, Allah Azza wa Jal sent him with the book of, with the book, the Quran. He came with this knowledge. And then after him, we have his successors, the 12 Imams alayhi salam. The first one is Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam, Imam Ali, and the last is Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, Ajjalallah ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif. They came after the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa to teach us about this religion, to teach us about the religion of Islam. Now, the people who were living during the times of the Imams alayhi salam, they had the opportunity to see the Imams, to sit with the Imams alayhi salam, and to ask their questions for them. If they had a question, they were able to sit down with them and ask them the questions. So, for example, the people during the time of Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he was living in Al-Kufa, the people of Al-Kufa were able to reach the Imam and ask him their questions. Some of the people who used to live in different places. For example, during the time of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam al-Sadiq was in Al-Madinah. A person came to him from Iraq during the time of Al-Hajj, because people who used to live far from Al-Madinah, far from the Imam, they used to wait for the period of Hajj, the time for Hajj, to go and meet the Imam during Hajj. And they asked him the questions. A man came to him at Hajj and said, Ya ibn Rasulullah, during the year I have many questions. And sometimes I can't wait to the period of Hajj. What should I do? Imam al-Sadiq, he gave him a name, one of his companions' name in Iraq, one of his companions in Iraq. He said to him, why don't you go to this companion, to my companion, and ask him? So the Imams alayhi salam, they gave the authority to some of their companions to answer the questions of the believers. After the occultation of Imam al-Mahdi, we believe that Imam al-Mahdi is living. He's in the major occultation. During the major occultation of Imam al-Mahdi, he gave this authority to the scholars. When we have a question, when we want to know the ruling of a certain thing, we refer back to the scholars, the fuqaha who studied, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah, who studied and they are authorized and qualified to answer our questions. We refer back to them. So this is the system that we follow, the system of taqleed. We refer back to the maraja, to the authorized scholars. In the religion of Islam, we have two parts, or two sides if you want to call them. We have the fundamentals of religion and the branches of religion. Usul al-Din and Furu' al-Din. We have 5 fundamentals of religion. What are they? Can you name me one? From the fundamentals. Okay. You sure? You don't know? Anyone? Usul al-Din. From the fundamentals of religion. Usul al-Din. أحسن. أنت سهل تعرفهم يعني. So we have توحيد, العدل, الإمامة, النبوة, and الميعاد. The 5 of them. That's the usul al-Din, the fundamentals of religion. Now with the branches of religion, Furu' al-Din, we have 10. What are they? Name one now. You have to name one. بفروع الدين. نسيت.
هذا واحد نسيت. نام الجامع شو يسوون؟
صلاة، صوم، حج، زكاة، خمس، الأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر،
تبري، تولي, and what else? الخمس, الجهاد. هذا الجهاد. That's the 10 branches of religion. Now, we have few differences between the fundamental of religion and the branches of religion. Few differences. One of them is that in the fundamentals of religion, we can't do taqleed. When it comes to proving the existence of Allah Azza wa Jal, when it comes to proving the justice of Allah and so on, we can't do taqleed. While in the branches of religion, when it comes to fasting, when it comes to praying and so on, we have to do taqleed. We have to follow a marja to get to the rulings of salat or fasting and so on. All right. So the topic of tonight, one of the branches of religion is salat. And for the salat, there's some introductions. One of the introductions of the salat is what? Is al-wudu. Wudu. Wudu in itself is not wajib. In itself it's not wajib. It becomes wajib when you want to pray. When you want to pray, the wudu becomes wajib. Why? Because it is an introduction for the salat. And the salat is wajib, therefore the introduction is also wajib for it. How to do wudu? How to perform wudu? Why type? Why do we perform wudu? To pray?
To pray and I can say purification, like purify our body from all najasa. So when we pray, when we tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have nothing stuck to our hands, wash them off. It's part of tahara.
So one of the reasons is for what? For salat. What you mentioned, that when you want to stand to be pure and away from najasa, we perform the wudu. Alright? So why do we perform the wudu for salat? Because it is wajib, number one. Because it's wajib to perform it. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says in the Quran, in the verse, if I remember the verse correctly, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. You believe إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة, when you want to pray, فاغسلوا وجوهكم, wash your face, فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق, and وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. wash your face and your hands, and then wipe your head and your feet. Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us in the Quran to perform the wudu before we pray. That's number one. Number two, how to perform wudu. When it comes to performing wudu, how to perform wudu. Inshallah, I'll mention how to perform wudu, then we'll open the discussion. Sorry, Sheikh, for taking a lot of time. Performing wudu, when we want to perform wudu, we start with pouring some water to our hands. I'm just going to mention the wajib of the wudu. We'll leave the mustahab for later on. You take the water, and the first thing you do, you wash your face. Alright? To wash your face, you have to start from the top of your forehead and all the way down to the end of your chin. And you have to wash the space between your thumb and your middle finger. This space, this part of your face, you have to wash it. So when you want to wash your face, start from the top of your forehead and use your thumb and your middle finger and all the way down to the end of your chin. That's the wajib part to wash during wudu. So all the way from your forehead and all the way down to the chin. Alright, can I start from my chin and go to the top? I can't. Ahsan, I can't. So I have to start from the top to the bottom and not from the bottom to the top in all the parts of the wudu. Now, just to make sure that the water covered all the part of your face, just make sure that you wash a bit further than this space, this part, from your right and left, just to make sure that all your face, water reached all your face, just to make sure. After you finish your face, you washed your face, what should you do next? Your right hand. Your right hand. So you get the water and you put it on your right hand. Where do you start from? Your elbow.
Yeah.
All the way down
To your fingers?
to your fingers, to the top of your fingers. All the way down. From your elbow to the top of your fingers. Alright? Can you start from your fingers to your elbow? No, you have to start from the top to the bottom. Alright? Okay. You washed your right hand from your elbow to the top of your fingers. If you are wearing a ring, for example, alright? If you are wearing a ring, just make sure that you remove the ring so water can reach all this part, all the part of your hand. Alright? And if there's any barrier on your hand or on your face and so on, you have to remove it before performing wudu. You wash your right hand and then you go to the left hand. And you start the same way, from top to bottom, from your elbow to the top of your fingers, all the way. After you finished, you washed your face, you washed your right hand, your left hand, what do you do next?
You start with your head.
You wipe your head.
Yeah, you wipe your head. Allahumma.
No, without the istihbabat.
Yeah, with your head, and then get.
Let's start with the head. You wipe your head. From where to where? Where do you start from?
You start from here.
From the middle of your head.
From the middle, and then you go all the way down.
To the end, to the top of your forehead. Ahsan.
And you have to make sure your head is not wet, because if
Ahsan,
it's wet,
that's another.
you can't.
Alright.
Don't put one bit.
With your face and with your hand, there's no problem if they are wet. But when it comes to wiping your head and wiping your feet, you should make sure that they are what? Dry. There's no water on them. So you start wiping from the middle of your head all the way down to the beginning of your forehead. And when you finish, of course you can use one finger to wipe, but it's better to use 3 fingers. Use 3 fingers and to wipe your head. But there's no problem if you use 1 finger. But as an istihbab, you use 3 of them. Then after that, you go down to what?
Your right leg.
Your right leg. Alright. Can I start with my left leg? So I have to go to the right, then to the left. You get your right hand and you wipe your right leg. Where do you start from?
From the top of your leg.
From the toes, next to the toes, all the way to the ankle. It's not enough to just come and put your hand on the leg. Alright? You have to wipe it. You have to move your hand and wipe from your toe to the ankle. You do the right side, and then you do the left. Then the wudu is done. Alright? That's the wajib part of doing the wudu. If you want to do istihbab for wudu, then you can wash your face twice. You can wash your right hand twice and your left hand twice, according to some of the maraja. Alright? So there's no problem to come and wash your face twice. According to the majority of the maraja, it's mustahab, but the third time it becomes haram. So you can't wash your face 3 times with the intention of doing the wudu. Is that clear? So 2 times. The third time, if you do it with the intention of the wudu, then it's not accepted. Alright. Before you start doing the wudu, you need to have the intention. Alright? The intention is for what? For the sake of Allah. Al-Qurba. For the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Right. So you can't, for example, say it's hot today and I'll go put some water on my face and on my hands. No. The niyyah, the intention should be what? For the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. And when it comes to the water of the wudu, the water should be pure water. We have 2 types of water. We have the pure water and the mixed water. The pure water like what?
Water that has nothing added to it.
Ahsan, nothing added to it. Like what? Give me an example. One of the
Like flavored water, orange juice.
like this water that we have. Or rain that comes down from the sky. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأنزلنا من السماء ماء طهورا. Allah Azza wa Jalla sent down this water and it is purified. It's a pure water. That's why Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, when he used to look at the water, he used to say, Alhamdulillah, الذي جعل الماء طاهرا ولم يجعله نجسا. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah that He made this water pure and He didn't make it najis. It's one of the blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal. Imagine the rain that comes down is najis. In what situation we would be running away from the rain, so there's no najasa comes on us. This is one of the blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal. So we need to have the correct intention when we want to perform wudu. Then this water must be pure water. We can't use mixed water. Mixed water like what? For example, apple juice or orange juice or whatever. We can't use this juice to do wudu with it. The water must be pure. Alright. So inshallah, this is a small introduction about wudu. We'll start with the discussion. If you have any questions about wudu before we continue with al-ghusl.
Sheikh, when we wash our face,
Yalla Sheikh, take.
do we have to fill our hands with water or just with them? Like
When you want to wash your face.
Yeah, like for wudu, do we have to fill it with water or just?
No, you have to fill it with water. Because we said you have to wash your face and your hands. So it must be, you must put water in your hand and then put them on your face. But when you wipe your head and your feet, then you don't have to. You're not supposed to add new water to it. You use the water that is still on your hand because you're not washing it then. All right? Yes. Yalla Sheikh, take the next question.
What about your face for wudu? Is it okay if you just try like your arm like this?
You have to start from the top to the bottom. So if you start from the side, no, that wouldn't count.
Do you want to say anything? If you want to add more details about the wudu.
It's beautiful, brother.
No. There's a lot of. If you want to add anything to the wudu. You sure?
Maybe talk about when those becomes.
واجب. يلا تفضل. All right.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Who can tell me when you have to perform wudu, like when it becomes wajib? What breaks it? Yeah, for prayers, one of the things is There's other things as well, for touching the Quran, for doing tawaf. There's a number of reasons why we have to do it, but let's say you've done it before, do you have to do it again? What breaks your wuzu and makes you have to repeat?
One is blood.
Blood?
Blood, like if you bleed, that will wreck the wudu, and you have to go repeat it.
Nope, that's not right.
And
If you bleed, your wuzu does not get broken.
and have another one. If like air from your stomach, like you go to the toilet, that will break your wudu.
There's no shyness in Islam. Don't be scared to say these words.
Yes.
When you sleep,
When you sleep, very good. Sleeping is one. And anytime you lose consciousness for any reason, that's another one. What's it called? The passing gas, as you said, is another one. Still a couple more.
One at the back.
In the back where? Huh?
Going to 12.
Yeah, using the bathroom, either way. Those are two more. And of course, anything that would make ghusl become wajib, which the Sheikh will mention. So if any of these happen, you have to do wuzu afterwards if you want to pray or touch the Quran. Right? And if there's any more questions, I'm sure the Sheikh can answer them very well. Yes.
Inshallah. Alright. With the wudu, as we said, the wudu is mustahab in itself. And it's mustahab for someone to be on wudu, even if he's not going to pray. When you wake up in the morning before you go to school, it's better if you do wudu than you go out to the school. Or when you come back from school, you want to sleep at night. Now when you go back and you want to sleep at night, perform wudu and then go to sleep. In some of the narrations, they refer to the wudu as a light, nur, a light. And when you perform wudu on wudu, Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, al-wudu ala al-wudu nuran ala nur. When you perform wudu on another wudu that you performed before, this is light upon light. You can look at this light, this wudu, when you perform wudu, as a circle. As a circle. You'll be inside this circle of light. This circle will prevent you from troubles, from sins, and so on. It will keep you away from sins, like magic that you watch in cartoons. Alright? So this light, this circle, will keep you away from trouble. That's why it's very recommended to stay on wudu as much as possible, all the day, and even before you sleep, to be on wudu. I'll mention to you a story about one of our scholars, Sheikh Murtada al-Ansari, rahmatullah alayh, one of our famous scholars. Sheikh al-Ansari, after Sahib al-Jawahir passed away, the people returned back to Sheikh al-Ansari, Sheikh Murtada al-Ansari. They came to him and said, we want to follow you. You are the marja now. We want to take you as our leader. Sheikh al-Ansari, he said to them, no, go back to Karbala. There's one of my friends there, his name is Al-Mazandarani. He's more knowledgeable than me. Refer back to him and follow him. The believers, they went to Al-Mazandarani and they asked him. They said to him, Sheikh al-Ansari said that you're more knowledgeable than him. Al-Mazandarani said, listen, when we used to study 10 years ago in Karbala, I was more knowledgeable than Sheikh al-Ansari. But now, he's more knowledgeable than me. He's the most learned scholar. Go back and refer to him. All the believers at that time, all the Shia, the majority of the Shia started following who? Sheikh al-Ansari. Sheikh al-Ansari. They started following Sheikh al-Ansari. And he became the leader of the Shia. Some woman went to his mother. They went to his mother and said to her, your son became the leader of the Shia. He became the marja of the Shia, of all the Shia. She said, listen, I'm not surprised that he became the leader of the Shia. I was hoping that he reached something higher than that. Higher than a marja, higher than a leader of the Shia. She said, yes, because every time I wanted to feed him, I used to perform wudu. Every time I wanted to feed him, I used to perform wudu. Even in the cold night, I used to go out in the cold and perform wudu before feeding my son. So how? It's normal for him to become a marja after performing wudu every time. So that's how important it is to be on wudu. It will keep you away from a lot of problems, a lot of troubles. Alright. Any questions about wudu? Before we... With the intention of wudu, of course, with the intention of wudu, you don't have to pronounce anything. It's enough to be in your heart to know that you are performing wudu for the sake of Allah, qurbatan lillah azza wa jal. Alright? So you don't have to say anything when having the intention. What else? Any questions about wudu? If you don't have questions, I'll start asking questions.
If you have that sweat on your face or on your arm, does it matter?
Sweat?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. Even if you have water on your face and on your hand, it's not a problem. Alright? The only thing you have to concern about is when you wipe your head and your feet.
So if you had sweat on your head or whatever,
If it's a lot of sweat, then yes, you have to remove it. And if water is coming, if it's normal sweat, it doesn't matter. But if it's a lot of sweat, then yes, you have to remove it first. Alright. But let's say,
For wudu, I heard pins and all that, like if you have it on your arm, your wudu won't be accepted.
yeah.
But can I know which stuff, if they're on your skin, will prevent wudu from,
Any barrier that is on the parts that you have to perform wudu on, any barrier, then you can't do wudu except if you remove them. Any barrier. Let's say there's, I don't know, ink, there's, anything. You have to remove any barrier before you do the wudu. Who was asking a question? Yes. You have ink on your head, on your hand, and you do wudu. Alright. If before you started praying, you noticed that there's the ink on your hand, right? Huh?
While he's doing wudu, the ink
Yeah,
goes
but some ink is soluble, water can go through. So,
Through what? Through your skin?
yeah, like if you put water, say, on the ink, it will go away. If you put it on the paper.
I was asking if we can remove them after the point, after the
So if before he started praying, he was doing the wudu, and before he started praying, he noticed that there's ink. Then he should remove it and repeat the wudu. He should repeat the wudu. Alright? You have to repeat the wudu. Well, it's a barrier. With the ink, I don't know, does it go under the skin, the ink?
It depends if the...
Alright.
With regards to ink, it depends if it's, what's it called? If it's easy to take off, like as you were saying, if you just pour water on it and it goes off, that's fine. Right? But if it remains there and it prevents this barrier,
it goes under the skin.
If it prevents a barrier that doesn't allow water to get to the skin, then that's when it's problematic.
I've got a question.
For example, what if you have a tattoo on your arm?
Son.
Does that affect your wudu?
Tattoos are underneath the skin, so it doesn't affect the wuzu. But there's some maraja that say if it's a ayah of Quran or one of the holy names, that you should wipe over it instead of wash it. But that's only a few of the maraja. The main maraja say it's just like washing a normal hand.
With gel wax, when you wipe your head, you obviously with wax. Will it be alright? Like, would it affect your wudu?
Wax. If it's a barrier, then if the water can't reach your skin, then it affects your wudu. But if if the water can reach your skin, even if you have the wax, then there's no problem. So you have to see if it's a barrier or not. When you put the water, when you're wiping your head, see, is it reaching the skin or not? If it's reaching the skin, there's no problem with having the wax on or the gel or whatever. But if it becomes a barrier that the water is not reaching the skin, then of course it's a problem. Anything that becomes a barrier, then it's a problem in wudu. Sure, we have a question. Okay, good. All right, we'll start with ghusl inshallah then. So, any questions about wudu before we go to ghusl? No? All right, let me ask you a question about wudu. Let's say you performed wudu, all right? You know that you performed wudu. Then you have a doubt. Then you have a doubt later on, after 2 hours. Did I break my wudu or not? What should you do? Did you understand the question? You performed the wudu, you know that you performed the wudu. Then you have a doubt. Did I break this wudu or not? What should I do? What?
If it's a doubt, well, if you're not sure, then it's kind of good, like, you don't need to redo it because you're not sure. It's just a doubt. But if you know you've done it and you know your wudu is broken, then you have to go redo it.
Ahsan, correct. That's very good. Because you are sure that you are certain that you performed the wudu and you're doubting later on if this wudu is still on or not, then you have to go on you, inshallah. Go to the faqih of this mosque, inshallah, after 10 minutes. Then you don't have to repeat your wudu because you're doubting. And the doubt can't remove the certain thing that you have, which is the wudu. Alright. So now let's with the wudu. Just to move on with al-ghusl, because we don't have a lot of time. With al-ghusl, ghusl al-janaba. We have a lot of aqsar, but we'll speak about ghusl al-janaba tonight. You want to start with ghusl al-janaba? I'm not good with the introductions about such things. All right. If someone doesn't know why should he perform ghusl al-janaba, then he doesn't need to know about it. Sheikh?
He needs to know.
Well, if he's not bothered, he doesn't.
If he's bothered, he needs to.
لا حياء في الدين. Alright, start Sheikh. لا حياء في الدين. Ya Allah. That's why they do this.
Most of they don't
More than us. بيعرف أكثر منا.
Don't worry, we are shy, you know.
الله. That's إذا غسل الجنابة هيك كيف النكاح شو نسوي؟ Sorry.
So since the sheikh is shy, I have to fill in. Ghusl janaba becomes wajib in 2 cases. First one is for those who are married, and since I'm assuming the majority of you aren't married, we won't get into that one. But if you have a question later, you could ask. The second one is if any semen comes out of your private parts, either awake or when you were sleeping, intentional or non-intentional, then it becomes wajib to perform a ghusl before you pray. Yani wuzu is not enough. You have to do a ghusl. So that's when it becomes wajib. Now that's the hard parts out of the way. Now he can tell you how to do it.
Ahsan. All right. So now you know why should you perform ghusl janaba.
When does that?
I didn't know this information. So Sheikh told me.
Sheikh?
No, don't ask any questions about that. Ask Sheikh later on. How to perform ghusl janaba? I'll give you how to do it. Sheikh, he told you why you should do it. How to perform ghusl janaba? First of all, you need to have the intention. Alright? The intention that you're doing it for the sake of Allah and for removing this najasa. Do you have to pronounce anything? Do you have to say anything with the intention?
Now, if your wife is like, your intention is to do
Understand.
this.
As long as you know what you are doing, then it's enough. You don't have to pronounce anything. Like if you're standing in the shower and you don't know what you're doing, alright, then this ghusl is not accepted. You have to know that you are doing this, you are doing ghusl janaba. If someone goes past and he asks you, what are you doing? You know that you can answer, I'm doing ghusl janaba. Alright? No one is going to ask me. But so this is the intention. You need to have the intention. Then the second thing with the water should be also pure water. You can't use mixed water to do the ghusl. You start with first thing after the intention. You need to start washing your neck and your head. So you put your neck and your head under the water and you wash it. You cover it. Do you have to wash inside your ears?
If you want, but it's not like it's not.
Sure. There's nothing if you want. It's not up to us.
In my case of knowledge, that's like I asked my dad about this.
مستحب. as مستحب. Maybe for wudu it's mustahab, for ghusl it's not mustahab. But there's no need to wash the inside parts of your ears or your nose or inside your eyes. Alright? The parts from the outside. Ahsan. So you start with your neck, with your head. You wash the head and the neck with water. And then I assume most of you here, you follow Sayyid Sistani. Right? Alright. For Sayyid Sistani, he says after you finish washing your face, your head and your neck, you have to go out from the water. Right? From under the water. هذا هلا بقولها بالعربي الفتوى جديدة. You have to move out from under the water after you finish washing your head and your neck. Then you go down under the water and you start with your right side. Okay? هاي فتوى جديدة. Sorry, just انه عنده عند سيد سجداني انه بعد غسل الرأس الرقبة والرأس عنده ان يجب الخروج من تحت الماء. تخرج من تحت الماء بعدين تدخل بطرفك اليمين، مش بضلك تحت الماء يعني الماء نازل عليك. هي فتوى جديدة. So after you finished you washed your neck and your head, you start with what? With your right side. Alright? Habibi, what's your name? Mustafa. We have Mustafa here. So the first thing you do, you wash the neck and the head. Alright? Then you start with what? Then what do? You start with the right side. Alright? You start, any questions for your su'al? You start with the right side. You wash the right side. All the right side. From top to bottom. Okay? All the right side. And then after you finish the right side, what do? The left side altogether. Can you do the left side before the right side? No, you have to do the right side and then the left side. Of course, before you do the ghusl, you have to remove all the najasa. If there's any najasa on your body, you need to remove it before you perform the ghusl. Alright, so you wash the neck, the head, the right side, and then the left side. Do I have to do anything else? Do we have to do anything else? No. Do we have to do anything else? Sure. Well, Ahsan. Fadla.
There's something we should do it before do the ghusl.
Istibra.
Istibra. We should go to the toilet and even one drop of, the urine come out. We should do that, then we can perform the ghusl.
Ahsan. طبعا الاستبراء it's not واجب. يعني it's not واجب. هلا الشيخ will explain to them about istibra and how to do it. Alhamdulillah, I'll go you with me. He didn't know that I'm coming. He came over to my house and then he was forced to come. Alhamdulillah. So Allah Sheikh will explain to them about istibra and how to do it. Alright, so after you do the ghusl, you wash your neck and your head, your right side and then your left side. After that, if you want to pray, you don't need to do wudu. No need to perform wudu. Let Sheikh explain to you about istibra. Yalla Sheikh. And how to perform it with الخلطات التسع.
Even you can use the microphone as the example. Because most of them they don't know. Honestly, it's an important thing, even for as a cleaning.
أحسن.
As a from sickness and diseases.
Okay, guys. There's something called istibra. There's two of them actually. So before ghusl means after semen has exited your body and you want to perform the ghusl. Before ghusl, you urinate. And urinating gets everything, that was left, gets it out. And that's istibra for, for what's it called? Khuruj al-mani. But there's also istibra that you do when you use the bathroom, when you urinate. And this istibra is also important. And what it is there's what's it called? There's 3 pressure points that you repeat 3 times each, right? So the first thing you do is after you urinate, of course you're Muslim, so you sit down and you urinate. You're not standing up, right? So when you're sitting down, you reach underneath your private part, right before. I'm gonna have to use the word. Sorry. Right before the butthole, you reach and you push up into your scrotum. You go 3 times like that. Second, I know this is hard to hear, but it's part of Islam. Second, you go on your private part itself, the shaft, 3 times. You stroke it. Then third is the head. 3 times you squeeze it. And then everything will come out. After the reason why you do this, it's not we're just, we're crazy people. The reason why you do it is for both reasons is this. After you urinate, sometimes when you get up, something comes out, you don't know what it is, right? If you didn't do istibra, right? Let's say you did that after you performed wuzu, right? And you didn't do istibra, then you realize, wait a second, something came out, I have a doubt. I don't know, was this urine, was it something else? I don't know. So if you didn't do istibra, what happens is you count it as urine, your wuzu is broken, and you have to repeat it, right? Even if you found this out after salat, so that could be bad. But if you did istibra, something comes out, you doubt, you don't know what it is, you could forget it, dismiss it, it has no problem. Same thing for urinating after, before you have to do ghusl. So those are, I get stuck with all the interesting stuff.
This should be after every using twice, every time.
Even about not with ghusl, even after going to toilet.
Yeah, every time you urinate, you should do it because you never know when something comes out that you're going to doubt about, right? So it's just you make it a habit, you do it, and it becomes second nature to you, right? So every time you're not even thinking about it, you just do it.
If you have any question about istibra, ask the Sheikh.
Sheikh, the stuff that you mentioned now, what if we never knew them? Like, is it?
That's fine. It's what's it called? If you never knew this before, right? It's okay. Start doing it now.
Like we done ghusl, but like in the stuff you mentioned about ghusl, we never done them. Like, is that okay?
What do you mean?
Before, like I've done ghusl, but the stuff you mentioned now,
About
I never did that because I never knew.
Istibra. That's fine. Istibra, right? Before, like if one of the reasons for ghusl janaba happened, right? And you don't urinate before you do the ghusl, right? What happens is, after the ghusl, if something comes out, or even during the ghusl, if something comes out, you don't know what it is, you have to consider it semen, and then that invalidates your ghusl. You'll have to repeat the ghusl. That's why you do istibra. It's so if something comes out that you're doubting about later, you're cool, you don't have to worry about it, right? That's the whole purpose of istibra. Also, a cleanliness factor, so nothing gets caught up there and causes, bacterial diseases or anything. It's also a good thing to do for cleanliness. Any other questions on this matter? Okay, back to the easy stuff then.
Awesome. All right. So, any questions about ghusl in general? So, sorry, I'm for moving the camera every.
When does semen come out?
Any questions about?
Doesn't it come out when you're asleep?
Yes, it
sorry,
does.
Sheikh,
It does.
I thought you meant like anyone knows like the answer for that.
Can anyone what?
No, sorry, because you know how he asked the question?
Yes.
I thought you asked us, does anyone know the answer? So like,
Oh yeah. You can answer him if you want.
yeah, like I thought.
Hassan, he's giving you the answer. No. Alright. Good. Alright. So if you
Tell him, for ghusl, it doesn't matter when it comes out. If it comes out, you have to do ghusl. It doesn't matter if the qualities or anything like that.
It's Ahmed, he's being smart.
Is there a certain time or period we have to do it between?
Certain time or period?
Yeah, like is there a certain time, like say after an hour, a day?
No, it's better if you do it straight after the thing, but you can do it any time before Salat, right? It's better if you do it straight. If you do it also straight after the thing, but if you're busy or you have something to do, there's no problem. But when it comes to praying, you have to do ghusl before praying. You can't pray before doing the ghusl janaba. But of course, there's some things that you can't touch, some things that you can't do while on ghusl. For example, you can't touch the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, alright? And whether on or entering the masjid on janaba. Alright, so there's certain things that it's haram for you to do, touching the book of Allah, entering the masjid, and other things. And some things that are makruh also. Some things are makruh, like eating, for example. It's makruh to eat while you're on janaba. So it's better to do it quickly. But if you don't have time, you can do it any time you want before salah. Alright?
If you touch someone on janaba, does that become?
No, it doesn't matter. Some people in the past used to say that, but now it's no problem. And janaba is not transferred from one person to another. Alright, with ghusl, for example, you can, let's say, wash your neck and your head, and after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can wash your right side. After an hour, you can wash your left side. So it doesn't have to be after each other. It doesn't have to be in the same time. You can do it. You can do your head first, and then go and do your right side, and then your left side, and so on. With the wudu, it's different. With the wudu, you have to do it at the same time. There shouldn't be a gap between a gap time between one act and another in wudu. But in ghusl, there's no problem in that. All right?
Sorry. Some people believe that if you have ghusl, you have to have both together. You have to have wudu and ghusl. Some people, they don't know the ghusl is, if you do ghusl, that means you don't have to do wudu anymore.
Yes. I already said that when you perform ghusl janaba, then there's no need to perform wudu when it comes to praying. When you want to pray, there's no need, as long as you didn't do anything that usually breaks the wudu. Alright? You didn't sleep before the salah, you didn't the other things. One of them is sleeping. So if you didn't sleep and you didn't do anything that breaks the wudu, then you can use this wudu also for your salah. It's not a problem.
We want to talk about like we said for Fajr prayer, morning. If they don't have a time, like there's 2 minutes or 1 minute left, and they want to do something instead of ghusl, is it the point to talk about now, or will you for later?
If you want, quickly I will mention. Yeah.
How do you perform tayammum?
They ask. طيب. Let's say for Salat al-Fajr, like the Hajj mentioned, you woke up late and there's no time, there's a few minutes for Salatul Fajr to pray, and you don't have time to perform wudu, alright? You don't have enough time. If you perform the wudu, then you're going to miss the Salat, the wajib. Then what should you do? You do tayammum. Alright? How do you perform tayammum? Anyone knows? Have you heard of tayammum before?
Yeah.
Alright. How do you perform it? On what? First, what should we use for tayammum?
Isn't it like dust? Or dirt, yeah.
Dirt. In the Quran, Allah says, فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. Use anything from the earth, dust, sand, whatever you want. So we have sand in front of us. What should we do? Put our hands. Where do you start from? After you put your hand. Alright, so I'll put my hands, I'll dip my hands 3 times. Then I'll start from the top of my forehead. And I'll start from the palm of my hand, this way. See? This way. All the way down. Alright? Good? Then after that, what should I do? لا ما عدد بتعمل هيك the hands. How do you do it? You start with what?
Right hand.
With the right hand. 10 minutes. Right hand and then the left hand. Alright? Do you want to add anything about tayammum or ghusl? Anything? Ghusl or Jum'ah?
It's important. They learn
غسل الجمعة على ما بصير على سكول غسل الجمعة.
That's the main.
أحسن هلا you remind me of something. With salat, for all the salawat that we perform, we must be on wudu. Alright? For all the salat, even if the salat is mustahab, you have to be, if you're doing mustahab, praying 2 rak'at mustahab. When you're entering the mosque, for example, praying 2 rak'at for Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman, as an mustahab, you have to be on wudu, except when you pray Salatul Mayyit. When someone he passes away and you are praying Salatul Mayyit, there's no problem if you're not on wudu. Only this exception. And Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, he was asked, why do we perform wudu? Is that, there's no more time? Alright. Why do we perform, Imam al-Rida, he was asked, why do we perform wudu for all the salawat except Salatul Mayyit? He said, because in all the salawat, there's ruku' and sujood, except Salatul Mayyit. You don't have to do ruku' and sujood, therefore you don't have to do wudu. Alright? With ghusl al-Jum'ah, same as we explained about ghusl al-Janaba, it's the same way. You start also with your neck, with your head, then your right side, and then your left side. The only difference is with the niyyah, with the intention. The first intention you have is what? For doing ghusl al-Janaba. The second intention is for what? Ghusl al-Jum'ah. Alright? Let's say it is wajib on you on Friday morning to perform ghusl al-Janaba. Alright? It is wajib. You woke up in the morning and you need to do ghusl al-Janaba. Can you join between ghusl al-Janaba and ghusl al-Jum'ah together? Yes, you can. You can join between as much as you want ghusls together. So you can have the intention of doing this ghusl for ghusl al-Janaba and for ghusl al-Jum'ah. So you get the rewards. You do the wajib part, which is ghusl al-Janaba, and then you get the rewards of what? Of ghusl al-Jum'ah. Ghusl al-Jum'ah, according to some of our maraja, you don't have to perform wudu after for ghusl al-Jum'ah, according to some of the maraja. Let's see, who do you follow? So it's Islam, you don't have to do wudu after ghusl al-Jum'ah.
touch ميت.
بعد هلا they're not going to touch. They're not going, إن شاء الله later on we'll speak. They're not going to ما حيتقل ميت. Alright, Sheikh, do you want to add anything before? Any questions before we end? We have a few minutes. inshallah. اتفضل. If you have one? Inshallah we'll speak about it next time. Wudu al-Jabir it needs a lot of time to explain. We'll speak about it next week, inshallah. So, inshallah, another time we can continue about the same topics. I'll give you one advice before we finish, that we are living here in this country. It's not unfortunately we don't live in an Islamic society, or we don't have a big Islamic community. We are living in this country. To stay away from problems, to stay away from troubles, to stay away from the sins that you face outside, make sure that you try to read every day something about Islam. Try to read something about the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, about our Imams alayhi salam, or even to open the book, the jurisprudence book, the fiqh book, and try to read one mas'ala, one ruling every day about different topics. Then you will have a strong connection with the Imams alayhi salam, study their lives, read about them, the stories of the Imams. You will have a strong connection with them, and you, inshallah, stay away from sins. هذا وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.